Feinstein. Senator Lee.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ho, I'd like to start with you. Does the Constitution sometimes compel results in particular cases that are unpopular or contrary to the will of a majority of Americans?
Yes, Senator Lee. I think the purpose of the Constitution is to put, well, one of the purposes of the Constitution anyway, is that it serves a counter-majoritarian function and puts a few issues of individual civil rights and liberties beyond
Beyond debate, yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. It recognizes the risk of mob rule, in other words, if all you're doing is simply giving in to the will of a simple majority of Americans at any given time, the human condition can't flourish. I was making essentially this point on a series of tweets I sent out on October 8th of 2020. A series of tweets explaining the difference between a constitutional republic like ours, where our system of government is constrained by a series of laws governing the making of laws in our government, and the fact that these things can be counter-majoritarian, and that's good. In other words, as I explained it, democracy itself isn't the objective. That is, with the understanding that if you refer to pure democracy as simple majoritarian rule, that's not the objective. The objective is to have a situation in which the human condition can flourish. That's sometimes squelched when individual liberties are crushed, when majoritarian impulses are allowed to erode the fundamental rights of others. I was a little surprised to see that in response to one of those tweets, you retweeted, you tweeted this as a retweet, quote, "The mask is off." Wasn't sure what that meant. You made clear in a subsequent retweet with the following commentary. Translation, these are your words, not mine. If we can't maintain minoritarian rule despite the Electoral College, Senate malapportionment, extreme partisan gerrymandering, and strict conditions on voting, then we'll rely on a 6-3 SCOTUS to block any elected Democratic agenda. Did you in fact send that?
I believe I did tweet that, Senator, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to address this.
What did you mean by this? We've got limited time, so I want to ask you some specific questions. What did you mean by Senate malapportionment? What does that mean?
Well, Senator Lee, I just want to be clear. I think I misinterpreted your tweet, and I regret that I did that, and I want to apologize to you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the apology. I want to know what you meant by Senate malapportionment. I'm not familiar with that term. What does it mean?
Senator Lee, I was responding to an ongoing debate, news reports at the time that there were state legislators who, even before the election, were contemplating fabricating some sort of pretext by which they could ignore their state's own votes for president and directly select their presidential electors. And it was hard for me to imagine anything
How is that
more
characterized as
democratic
Senate malapportionment? That's not, that might refer to your, maybe you made a separate dig somewhere at the Electoral College. You did. You said maintain minoritarian rule despite the Electoral College. So that might describe that part of your tweet. That doesn't describe Senate malapportionment. It appears to me that what you mean by that is you're challenging the principle of equal representation among the states, notwithstanding their different populations.
Well, Senator Lee, I just want to make clear, obviously, we have a federal system, and the apportionment of 2 senators per state is instantiated in Article 2 of the Constitution. If I were confirmed...
Is that malapportionment?
No, Senator Lee, I wouldn't describe it that way.
But you did.
But Senator Lee, I guess what I was trying to respond to was this notion that was being bandied about that state legislators who...
That doesn't explain Senate malapportionment. There's no planet on which that could be interpreted that way. Are you aware that the Constitution itself makes one thing preemptively unconstitutional? There is one feature of the Constitution that cannot, under the terms of the Constitution, be amended. Are you aware of what that is?
Senator Lee, I don't believe in my 15 years of practice in courts around the country that particular issue has come up in any of my
because
cases.
It's not litigated, because it's in the Constitution, but it's there in the text. It's what you derisively referred to as Senate malapportionment. It's the principle of equal representation in the Senate. It's the one feature of the Constitution that cannot, may not, must never, ever be amended. The fact that you referred to it derisively, along with, by the way, denigrating the Electoral College itself and the Supreme Court of the United States, the superior court, the court of last resort, to which you'd be answerable if confirmed to this position, is deeply troubling to me. I don't know how we're supposed to confirm you to this. Now, this has nothing to do with how you feel about any elected official, me or otherwise. It has everything to do with your open contempt for the Constitution, which I know of no other way of reading this, including that one feature of the Constitution that can't be amended. How do you serve as a federal judge when you've denigrated the Supreme Court, apparently under the theory that they're operating as some sort of partisan hacks, and other essential features of the Constitution? How do you defend that? How do you stand here and say that you can be supported in being appointed to an office whose job it is to interpret that document and to adhere to those precedents made by the Supreme Court that you've derided?
Senator Lee, in that tweet, I was trying to caricature a view that I thought that others had about the right that they would have to directly select their own state's presidential electors and to ignore the will of voters entirely.
That's
I certainly
not
did
what
not mean
Senate malapportionment means. We both know that, and you're under oath. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Senator Feinstein? I'm sorry, Senator Whitehouse.